How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Michael Thurville, photojournalist and sociologist here at VEDA World News. Now, we're going right back into the world of politics today, and we're talking to a political hopeful right here in Harris County, Houston, Texas. Sir, your name?
My name is Mark Fury.
Mark Fury, such a name. It is very memorable. When you call my phone, I say, man, I can't forget this name. Okay.
So Nick is the famous guy in the family.
Nick.
Nick Fury. You can imagine.
Nick Fury. Yes. Get your Avengers on.
If he had the use of both of his eyes, imagine how awesome he'd be.
Understood. Most definitely. Let me ask you, what started you on this political path?
So I've served as Justice of the Peace before.
Okay.
I served at Chimney Rock and Gulfton. They were wonderful years. I enjoy serving the people. I enjoy taking care of small problems. I mean, there's so many problems that crop up, contentious issues that become small claims cases, that if a judge handles them with attention and really works with the people, you can bring peace. It's truly a job of Justice of the Peace. So this opportunity came to run against the incumbent, Judge Bob Wolf. We'll talk more about that later. And I'm anxious to get back. I'm anxious to get back to healing the community, being a resource in the community, being a Justice of the Peace.
Okay, let me ask you. Are you on the Democrat or Republican ticket for those who may not know?
I'm on the Republican ticket.
Okay.
I've always been a Republican, but kind of more germane, if you don't mind me saying, this is a Republican precinct. Okay. So ultimately, it's possible the Democrat could win, but ultimately it's the Republican typically who wins. And I'm running against an incumbent Republican in the Republican primary.
Well, let's start here with this other question here. Houston is known as a blue pocket.
Yes.
How do you effectively operate as a Republican in a Republican precinct in a blue pocket such as Houston, Texas?
That's a great question, and the answer is real easy. At the level of a Justice of the Peace, there's the ones who care and the ones who are trying to get rich.
Okay, those who are trying to get rich.
Those are the two political parties. Okay.
This is true.
Because when I was Justice of the Peace, I was a Republican, and I would rule on cases the way Al Green would rule, the way David Petronello would rule, and they were Democrats, because on the level of caring for the community, there's those who are sold out and those who are trying to enrich themselves.
Okay, so for your political campaign, what are the three main issues that you're running on? Okay,
the current incumbent, it's his first term. He has the most backlogged court in the whole state of Texas.
Why do you say that?
Because there's 68,000 cases that have accumulated awaiting adjudication. You just look at the state stats. It's just a statistical thing. 68,000 cases awaiting adjudication. The reason for that is because he's practicing law while he sits as a JP. And also because he prioritizes his wedding business over taking care of the people's cases. So my motto is bring back a good JP. Because when I was JP before, I cleared out a big backlog. We can talk about that more. And I'll serve the people. Weddings would take second tier. Taking care of cases and getting the people's problems heard and solved will take priority.
Okay, and what will be that second principle that you're running on?
So I think the first one is taking care of the backlog. The second one is hearing and caring for the people, getting the cases heard in a way. So, for example, when I was JP before, on small claims, less than 1/2 of 1% of the people appealed, which means 99.5% of the people felt I gave them a fair ruling. I want to get back to that at this court. Yes, I want to get back to that at this court. If they feel like they've got somebody who hears them well. And that's a hard thing to do. 99.5% of people don't appeal. I pat myself on the back. God is good.
Yes, He is. And the third principle?
So the third principle would be to motivate the staff. Okay, it's a hard job. The court has a lot of cases. People get a traffic ticket. Maybe they feel hostile towards the deputy, but they see the civilian clerk, and they're maybe a little bit more, willing to kind of express their frustration there. And so I want to motivate that staff. That staff is not motivated because the judge is all about making his money rather than instilling service to the community.
So is it fair to say that the staff currently is not motivated?
This is my opinion. If you were to ask Judge Wolf, he would say that that's not true. But I go over to that courthouse and I don't see a motivated staff.
All right, let's talk about predictions. If you were elected into office right now, what would be the first thing you would do?
First thing I would do is I'd take down You walk into that courthouse, there's all these big signs. I've had pictures of him here, of him weddings and, you know, venue of 90 people. If you want to order flowers, I would take all that down because it's the people's court. It's about getting cases heard. It's not his wedding. So first thing I do is take all that stuff down. The second thing I do, I say to staff, look, this is about serving the people. I don't know if I'll get to doing weddings or whatever, but we've got a lot of work to do for our main charge, which is to take care of.
Is it fair to say that this particular JP is using the courthouse to enrich himself?
There's no question about it. He's doing that in 3 ways. One is he collects a handsome salary. The second is he's practicing law during the day at the court because he wants to make more money, keeping his law practice while he's a JP. And the third way is prioritizing the weddings and advertising the weddings not only boldly, but I think braggadociously.
Wow. Well, okay, so let me ask you this. The second thing would be what if you were elected into office?
Well, what did I just say? Let's see. We said the first thing was, I think I said the second thing.
You would get rid of all of the wedding stuff that was going on within?
That would be the first thing I would do when I walked in.
Okay.
That would be the first thing I would do.
What would be the second thing?
Well, probably to try to overcome the backlog. I would look at how many cases were set, and I'd probably increase the number of cases set on each docket. Because the way I got rid of the 70,000 case backlog over Chimney Rock was basically just working long hours. There's little things you can do to try to figure out if you can dismiss certain cases based on certain criteria, but mostly it's just rolling up your sleeves and caring and getting the job done.
Understood. Now, the Justice of Peace deals with evictions, correct?
Yes.
Houston is struggling with rent control, evictions. I once read a study that 47% of Houstonians are one paycheck away from being evicted.
I believe that.
How do you plan to tackle that?
Okay, so when I'm asked this question, this is what I say, okay? I'm not a free man. I'm a committed man.
Okay.
And my wife is the law.
Okay.
So ask me to do whatever you want, but don't ask me to turn my back on my commitment. So when you become a JP, you take an oath to uphold the law. Now, I don't write the law, the legislature writes the law.
Correct.
The law in Texas is very pro-landlord. That doesn't mean that I'm pro-landlord. That just means that I'm going to come in and do what the law says. So if a landlord comes in and it's a slam dunk, the law is on his side the way it's written, and there's no ability to fine for the tenant, I've got to fine for the landlord. So some people talk about, well, maybe like, you know, delay the case or like do kind of games or whatever. Well, the law doesn't really give me a basis to delay the case unless both parties agree to that. So what I say is, I'm a man with a heart. I'm the father of 6 children. I was raised by a single parent mom. I have a lot of tenderness, but at the same time, if a case comes before me, I've got to do what the law says.
Let me ask you here, for anyone that is aspiring to become a justice of the peace, what are tips that you would give them or advice to go on this path?
Well, the first question you need to ask yourself is, do you love people?
Okay.
Because if you don't love people, you have no business doing this. The other thing is, are you patient to hear penny ante disputes? Or you say, oh, what are you complaining about that? You need to be patient. Everybody deserves the dignity of you sitting and hearing their perspective and then hearing the other response. Because there are people who would say to me when I was JP before, you know, Judge, you ruled for the other guy, but you heard me. I felt heard. And that's a crucial thing. I think in terms of peace in life, you know, we all have conflict in our lives, but if somehow the conflict gets resolved in a way that we felt we were honored, that we were respected, it makes a huge difference.
Understood. Now, let me ask you, for people who feel as if the justice of peace within their precinct is not hearing them, what actions, what should they do?
All I can say is what I'm doing is I'm running against him.
Okay.
That's an extreme action, but it's one thing you can do. You know, my campaign slogan is bring back a good JP. Bring back a good JP. So in that particular situation, figure out what you can do. Is there somebody else who could be elected next time? You know, I mean, I don't know if you can sit down with somebody who doesn't seem to have the patience for the job or seems to be determined to be enriching themselves at the cost of other things and have them take a turn. But, you know, you can always advocate for another person.
Well, listen, the job of a justice of peace seems to be quite complicated. How do you manage cases?
Okay. So it's not, it's interesting. You say complicated, I understand why I say it's really actually very simple.
Really?
But there's a bunch of spinning tops, okay? You have evictions, you have truancies, you have traffic tickets, you have small claims. So it's not, each one of those things is fairly simple, but you kind of balance on a lot of plates. So in that sense, it is complicated. So what it takes there is trying to figure out how big to set each docket so that nobody's case is delayed too much. You know, so how many evictions are, well, the evictions, you know, you've got to get them heard typically within, well, the law says within 21 days. Typically they're in 2 weeks. So you're kind of just, whatever's coming in you need to hear. With small claims, you know, you can work a longer day and hear more of them so that you're not rushed.
Okay.
It's really kind of under, and actually it's the thing I love about the job. I'm doing truancy today. I'm doing small claims tomorrow. I'm doing traffic tickets on Thursday. So each day you come in, you're kind of a little refreshed.
Different.
Yeah, it's a new and a different thing.
Okay.
You don't get worn out just doing the same thing. And I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, you're fine. You're definitely on track because I like to hear, and I'm quite sure the audience likes to hear what you have to say as a justice of the peace, as a candidate that's running to serve the people of Houston. How can people reach you?
So on my card, I've got this cell phone right here, and I don't mind saying it. It's 281-723-9616, 281-723-9616. And then my email is markfury, MARKFURYJP, MARKFURYJP @gmail.com. And they'll get to, I don't have somebody screening it. I read it myself.
Okay. Well, that sounds pretty good because, like I said, this is only going to be one of the interviews that we're going to be having with you because I really like to have you back on for a little bit longer, in-depth interview. Okay. Would you be open to that?
Absolutely. And I just want to say, if I could plug this, I have a website that I spent a lot of time developing that really talks in depth about how I handle evictions, how I handle truancy, innovative things I did with truancy, with deed restriction cases. And it's www.bringbackaggoodjp.com. So please visit www.bringbackaggoodjp.com. I'd be most grateful.
Well, you heard it here first here at VEDA World News. Bring back a great JP. My name is Michael Thurville, photojournalist and sociologist here at VEDA World News. We'll see you on the next segment.
I'm so grateful for your time.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Good deal.